Good morning, everybody. This is going to be a video where I sort of review the week on the two pairs that I broke down in my weekly analysis on I think it was like the 2nd of March or last Sunday at the start of the week, and yeah, and just go through it and see what happened. And I mean, I know the analysis played out. It's played out on EU, and GU hasn't quite played out yet, but it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to go over it, and I was going to do my weekly analysis and then sort of do a review, but to be honest, I didn't want to drag the weekly analysis out for too long, so I'm going to do them two separate videos. So let's go back to EU. Now, if nobody's watched my weekly analysis, then it's pretty pointless watching this one. So if you're interested, then maybe go back and watch the weekly analysis that I did, and then come back to this, and it will make a bit more sense. So the range I was in at the start of the week, we were in this range here, and we'd taken out internal liquidity into this imbalance fill price action on the daily. This is an unmitigated daily block, and then price pushed up. We had a range from here to here, came and took internal, and then we came and took external, and then we created a new range because this, one second, let me go back, and like I say, the idea is that if we're bullish targeting this, all we're doing is following the bullish ranges. So look, we had this ran liquidity right here and then broke structure here, and then we had this opposite run of liquidity and then break a structure. So we had this range, price came into, I believe this was a 1 hour wick. There was no liquidity, there wasn't much liquidity in here, so we had this little inducement here. Price swept it, pushed up, took external, and then but failed to take up this high. So we had this smaller range right here. Price came and took internal into this block right here, or this unmitigated wick, and then pushed up, and we actually went and took this high, and then we started dropping, which kind of made sense, because rather than thinking, okay, well, this is a strong low, for example, like this is a strong low, we should come into this block here, for example, come into here and then start pushing up, it makes sense to drop further because we took out external liquidity of this range. So it makes sense that now all of this became liquidity. All of this here became liquidity, which price swept it, and then which brings us on to the start of the week, which we were, let's go down to the 1 hour. So at the start of the week, when I did my analysis, we had just broken this high right here, and I said in my video that I was looking for longs from here. Now I've changed recently. I've gone from trading sort of higher time frames to trying to catch lower time frame entries, and now if I was trading the lower time frames like the 15-minute or the 5-minute, I would never have caught this push up. Yeah, I would never have caught this push up, just because I would have been waiting for it to come down here somewhere and fill this gap. But yeah, completely missed me. But if I was trading higher time frames, then you know, you could look at this. You could look at this as a run of liquidity, break of structure, and then we came back to mitigate this 4 hour block, and you could have taken something like that. But to be honest with you, I don't like having these big stops anymore. I'd rather win quicker and lose quicker. That's kind of my approach to it now. So I could have taken something like that, but because I'm trading lower time frames, I was looking for price to come down here. So yeah, missed me completely. But you can see what happened. We broke structure. We came back to mitigate this 4 hour block, and then we just, well, it's just gone. But I was never expecting this push up. I was actually looking for a drop from here, but I didn't take any trades from there, but I was looking for a drop from here, and just see if we go to the, I always lose where I am when I switch time frames. Yeah, so we got, is that the 12-hour block? 1 second. Yeah, so we got a reaction from it. Yeah, so we got a reaction from it. And I'll be honest with you, I probably would have taken, let's have a look. I probably would have taken a loss in here, I'll be honest with you, especially from this one. As we come into there, yeah, because I would have seen this as a POI to go bearish. This was a run of liquidity, and then I would have seen this as a break of structure. So I probably would have taken something like, oh, what was that up there for? I would have taken something like that and just took a pretty quick loss on it. So it's probably a good reason that I wasn't trading. But yeah, I could almost definitely say I probably would have taken that, because this was the POI that I was looking for. But ultimately I think I got the higher time frame bias wrong, and I'll go over that in my, well, I don't like I got the bias wrong, because I was right on the buys, but I was wrong on the overall bearish, and I can see why, and I'll go over that on my weekly analysis. But yeah, price push pretty bullish, took out this high, so this range was completed, this was done, and this was a pretty clean range. You know, we took out internal. If you got in long from down here, you'd have been pretty confident to come and take it to this high. So yeah, I just, sometimes the thing is with the higher time frames, it takes a different psychology, because you know, if you was trading this on this range on the 5 minute, then you know this pullback's only like, you know, half an hour, 40 minutes, whereas this pullback would only be like probably another half an hour, and then you start pushing up again. But when you're trading the higher time frames, I mean, this is a 12-hour time frame, so this is like it's like 3 days of bearish pressure, and then you get the push. So it's like, do you have the psychology to be able to be this close to TP and then have this happen for 3 days, and then that, I mean, it puts you through a lot of emotions that you don't, you know, that you don't really need to put yourself through. So this is a reason why I sort of moved to the lower time frames. But anyway, so that's EU. It's looking pretty good. I have a plan for next week, but I'm going to go over it in my weekly analysis. Let's look at GJ, because GJ has just been a beautiful range to trade, to be honest. I like I say, I haven't traded this week, so I haven't taken anything. I mentioned last week that this is a pair that I'm looking to trade a bit more regularly, but rather than just jumping in blind, I want to do a little bit more testing on it and just get a feel for how it moves, because it is a bit different. GJ, it does tend to, it's a bit wild at times, but I feel like if you can tame it or understand it, then yeah, you can catch some pretty good. You could catch some pretty good risk to reward trades on it. So the plan for last week was, we were in this range from here to here. Okay, we broke structure, we retraced, we failed to take out the high, so then this became an inducement down here. Price took out the inducement, and then we got a strong push to the upside. So this was my strong low, and this was my weak high, and we've taken out the inducement. So our next target is external range liquidity up here. So this was my plan, was to come into this POI, which is unmitigated daily block with liquidity, with an inducement sitting just below it, because you think, how many support and resistance traders, you know, are getting in. Let me clear this up. It makes sense, because you think, how many support and resistance traders are getting in here? Smart money traders are getting in here. Supply and demand traders are getting in here. You've got breakout traders getting in here. You know, you've got trend line traders, you know, all getting in on the third, fourth touch, whatever. Don't know exactly how they do it, but you know, you've got a lot of different people getting in at this point, because look, this is where you had the big push. So now supply and demand, people get back in here, and then expect that. but you know, this is just an inducement or a trap inside of the range. So people got induced to go long, taken out, then we go, and then the real move happens. So that is what I'm kind of expecting. So yeah, this is why I was bullish, and this is the current range that we're in, this dark blue range. Let's drop down to the 4 hour. I wonder what the best time frame to see this is. Probably 2. Yeah, let's stay on the 2. Let's move that. Let's make this a bit clearer. Okay, so let's break this down. Let's break this down so we can understand it. Right, so we have a strong low. So we know we're bullish from the higher time frames. We know what range we are in on the higher time frames. So we're still bullish coming to take out external. This is the current range that we're in. Now inside of here, you see not a lot of internal range liquidity. You only really see this liquidity right here. So price generated liquidity, induced people to go long, and then took them out. So we generated liquidity right above this unmitigated POI, this unmitigated, I think it was probably a 4 hour block, but right above this 4 hour block. Then price tapped into the POI after taking out all this liquidity, ran this liquidity, broke structure, we broke structure, we pulled back, we broke structure, we pulled back, we broke structure, we ran this liquidity, and then we came down and we broke structure. So now we have a range from, it's too much talking going on here, from this low to this high. And what did price do? Again, we created another range. We generated liquidity. Price generated liquidity, inducing people to go long, because again, you know, supply and demand, support and resistance, you know, all the other strategies. Look, what's this look like? Hold on. Look, what does this look like? Head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline. Is that it? Is that what they call it right there? Neckline. So head and shoulders, pattern traders getting in here, and they all get taken out. So, and where did it come into? Imbalance, fill price action. It came in to generate the liquidity, filled the imbalance, pushed up, took external. This would have been a great trade. I mean, I would have taken this, but I would have had it with bigger stops. And the only reason I would have had it with bigger stops is because of a confidence thing. I would have been looking at that rather than, I would have been looking at that POI, right, the whole POI. Whereas really, this is the POI. This they call it a hidden base, which is literally just that little area there where you have wick to wick like that. So it came into the hidden base and then pushed up and took external. And then after we took external, we got the pullback. And you know, a lot of people are thinking, okay, now we've broken structure here. Now we've broken structure, we can start to look for shorts. So what happens is people start trying to get in short, and then because the reality is we're just in this range now from here to here, and this is an unmitigated 4 hour block. And again, price generated liquidity. This is what I'm starting to see with GJ. It likes to generate this liquidity. It likes to, where's the other one? No, it likes to generate the liquidity right above the POI. It likes to generate the liquidity right above the POI, which is this whole POI right here. Again, it likes to generate the liquidity. And I suppose people would call this accumulation. What do they call it? Accumulation manipulation, and or is it like that? No, it's like that, sorry. Accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution. So I suppose it's, yeah, I don't really look at it in that way, to be honest. But yeah, one thing with GJ, what I've noticed is it likes to do this. It likes to induce people into going long, induce people into going long, induce people into going long, and then take them out. So just one thing to keep in mind with GJ. So yeah, the target hasn't been hit yet, but it's looking pretty good. It's following these ranges. It gave you a lot of it gave you, where were we here? That would have been Monday. This was, yeah, so this was Monday. So it gave you this entry right here would have been a good one. Would have been the best entry. And then probably, I don't think I would have taken that, although it made sense to tap and then go. I'd like to see it, although it makes sense to just fly up, I wouldn't have trusted that, and I definitely wouldn't have had a stop that big, so there's no way I would have caught that. But if it gives you some sort of confirmation on the lower time frames, let's see what happens at the start of the week. But yeah, so if you haven't seen my weekly analysis, then maybe it's worth a watch, and you can see that this is what I was planning at the start of the week, and now that the week's ended, it's good to go through and see how the analysis played out. And in this case, EU played out pretty well, and GJ is playing out quite well. So a little bit slow going, but yeah, I mean, look at these two candles here on GJ. So once it tapped into that block, it moved 177 pips in, yeah, 3 hours. It moved 177 pips, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. So what I'm thinking with GJ is, like, if you can get these moves, like say for example, this is to POI. Price runs this liquidity here and then breaks structure. Price runs this liquidity here and then breaks structure. And then as we break structure, there's going to be times where we get that pullback. We get that pullback into here, maybe generate some liquidity, sweep, come into here, and then you take that trade. Then you take that trade there, for example, stops below the low, so it's only 20 pips, which is pretty big for a 5-minute candle. And then maybe you have the higher time frame target in mind up here. So we have a target in, what are we targeting? We're targeting this, for example, and then you catch those higher risk to reward trades. That's kind of what I want to sort of try and get better at with GJ, because I feel like you can do that, and that, say for example you get a move like that and it gives you confirmation. Look how quickly it went, and you would have been like 6R up in the space of 3 hours. But there are going to be times when this is going to be a trap, because this is a big POI. You've got imbalance down here, so you're going to get caught in this a few times. But then just wait for it to go again, and then take it again, because the risk to reward's good enough to be taking a few losses on it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. But I'm just going to be patient with it and trade it when it looks good. But that's it from me. I'll be putting my weekly analysis in the group as well, and yeah, I'll catch you all later. Goodbye.